click on, we're good. We're good, Mitch, you're up.
All right. Five, four, three. This is Mitch with the 1000houses.com podcast. I'm here with Brett Swarts, and we're going to be talking about how you can defer your capital gains tax on things like real estate and Bitcoin, and maybe even a big commission check you've got out in the future, whatever big lump sum you got coming in. If you would like to understand how you might possibly defer the tax on that, you're at the right place at the right time. A lot of people think there's nothing to do about that. Sometimes when they're talking about taxes, hey, you have to pay them and go on. This is not true. There are legal ways, all done by the book. There are methods and different, financial ways to navigate, and they're all legal. So a lot of them, they have case study, which is the reason why we do them. They have law case study. They've been up in front of the court and there've been rulings. So here you go, Brett. How you doing?
Mitch, I'm better than I deserve. Excited to be with you again. I think the last time we jammed was maybe about 6 months ago. It's been too long, and a lot has changed since then, and a lot has remained the same. So it's good to be with you again.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people in this world that don't even know what you do exists. And I know that for a fact because I talk to people all the time, and they'll tell me about, they're complaining about their tax problem. I said, well, do you know about tax deferred trust? And they'll say no. And they don't even have a clue. So I'm glad you're on the show, because maybe we can let some more people know about these different avenues and choices. We're also streaming live on Facebook, right? And then on Twitter and on
YouTube.
Facebook, YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter are the main ones. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if you're out there live, I don't know, is there a way for these people to ask questions at all?
Probably, but I haven't figured out all those little nuances yet in the system. But you can certainly put them in the Facebook, and we'll go back and we'll answer them later, probably post close on the show. So feel free to add any comments or likes or any shares. Right, this is really cool for anyone who's looking to sell something highly appreciated and defer some tax.
Right. Yeah. So likes and shares and loves are always appreciated because they help us rank a little bit better, but do what you will. So let's talk about, you were talking about deferring tax on Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. I bet you there's a lot of people out in that world that don't know that there's some possibilities out there. And usually when people do this, there's some pretty big hits. I mean, some outrageous hits. And it's definitely worth sitting down for an hour and having a conference to talk about how you might save tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions, by adding to your knowledge base. So where do we start with this topic, Brett?
Yeah, to try to make it really simple for people, right, as best as we can. The government's no stranger to tax deferral, and they give us things like the 401k, things like an IRA, things like a 1031 exchange. And these are ways that us as U.S. citizens, as workers, as investors, we can defer capital gains tax and potentially even income tax over a period of time. And it's knowing that the government wants to do that because they want to incentivize you to save, to invest, to put money back into the economy, to grow jobs, which grows
to take care of your own retirement.
Take care of your own retirement. Take care of your kids' college savings. There's a lot of things that incentivize them to say, look, we want people to do certain things, and let's incentivize them by not taxing as much. They can't force you to do things, but they can make it attractive enough for you. So the Deferred Sales Trust is just another one of these tax deferral strategies that has been legal for many, many years, has been proven. But the application of it is really where the magic comes in that it works for any highly appreciated asset, real estate, primary homes, businesses, commercial real estate, cryptocurrency, which is really the topic of today's conversation. For 25 years, it's really only ever been known for mostly real estate and business sales, veterinarians, dentists, optometrists, car dealerships, multifamily properties.
Can it work for stocks and bonds?
It can work for public stock. It can work for private stock. In fact, I
imagine a lot of people are thinking about getting out right now, but they don't want to take the hit because that's always the most painful part of getting out. But it's a lot of people think it's a good time to get out. It's like right now, let's get while the getting's good. We've made good money for a long time. Things are smelling a little shaky in a lot of people's opinion. So maybe this is a good time to have a good reason. Now you can get out and maybe defer the tax.
Yeah, we couldn't agree with you more, right? And we like to say it's somewhere between 30 and 50% of the gain with the depreciation recapture, depending on the asset you hold and the state that you live in. And part of the Biden's proposed tax plan, he's taking potentially 20% federal to as high as 25 or 26 or 28% federal. Okay. So then it's going to be like 30, 35 or 38 to 58%. Again, depending on the state you live in, the depreciation recapture. So we like to say it's no longer about cash flow, although it's always cash flow. Okay, I know there's a cash flow in 1,000 houses, but it's really more and more about tax flow, right? And how and when are you going to receive those funds, and how much tax are you going to be paying? Why? Well, the government, guess what, has been spending a lot of money the last 10 years, 20 years, 40 years. They keep spending, right? Especially the last 10 years, no matter what side of the aisle you vote for, they're spending. And that means a couple things. They're going to raise taxes. They're also printing a lot of money, which means the next thing, potentially inflation, right? We're seeing inflation. I mean, potentially it's happening, right? And so we think now more than ever is a great time to sell high and diversify, right? Get some liquidity, get some tax deferral, get out of debt. We just did a deal for a client in Alabama. He sold a $2.6 million business, deferred all of the tax. He got a really high multiple for the sale, and he's building tax deferred with the trust 70 multifamily units. That's pretty cool, right? So it's kind of like he 1031 out of a business into building. And these are places
but they don't offer 1031s for business. They don't offer 1031 for, a lot of things. They don't offer 1031 for $1 million commission you're getting because you sold 10 billion rubber gloves in the middle of the COVID thing. They don't offer any exchanges for that. So here's how you might do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it all depends on the fact pattern and the way you structure the deal. And especially when it comes to commissions and stuff, that one's a little more, it's
but
not,
you got to get way out ahead of this, like way out ahead of it.
It's not as clear cut on that. So really what we're staying in is highly appreciated assets. So you bought Bitcoin for, and I'll give you actually some three live deals that just closed. Okay. And this is the exciting part about this episode and why you want to continue to listen here, because for 25 years, it's been the businesses and the real estate sales, including luxury primary homes, which doesn't qualify for a 1031, including businesses, which doesn't qualify for a 1031. And by the way, this is not to be confused with the Delaware Statutory Trust. That's just another form of a 1031. We call it the Hollywood video to the Blockbuster, which is 1031. What we want to show you is Netflix. And what's cool about Netflix Deferred Sales Trust is it works for all of those assets, plus public stock, private stock, plus cryptocurrency. So I want to reverse about 4 months ago, we got a call from one of our strategic alliances. She's a financial advisor in the Bay Area, and she has a couple that she's working with. And this couple, married couple, 2 kids, dog. He works in Silicon Valley for the last 20 years. She's an attorney. They're working really hard, long hours, for many, many, many years. And he was smart enough to buy Ethereum and Bitcoin at a very, very early adoption of these assets. Now, he understands these assets, right? Just like we understand real estate, Mitch, right? He really gets it. And he had the conviction to hold. And in fact, he never sold. And in 2017, it raced up to about $6 million. And he had put about, I think, around $50,000 to $75,000. It raced up to $6 million. And his wife says, sell. Like, she didn't get it as much, right? I mean, cryptocurrency, especially at that time, it's still really new. He's like, no, there's a future for it. She's like, but we can retire. We can be done. We can go invest in real estate and different investments, securities, and be a little more diversified. As far as she knows, the money's out in outer space or in the internet somewhere, right? She didn't know. She just knew it was $6 million. But he didn't sell. And part of why he didn't sell was because he didn't have a tax deferral strategy. He was in California, and he's looking at like 30% of just being wiped out of all that gain. So as he was looking for the tax deferral strategy, the market crashed, and his 6 went to, I don't know, maybe a 1 or 2, right? And so he was like, I'm going to hold. Well, rewind about 6 months ago, it raced all the way back up to new record highs, but even beyond that, it went up to $13 million. So I'm sitting down with them, and they live in the Oakland Hills, beautiful home overlooking the whole San Francisco Bay. And I sit down with them and I said,
with the wife, you dummy. And then all of a sudden it's just going back and forth, like.
Exactly right. I said, how did you feel? She's like, I felt terrible. That meant I could retire. The outcome was I could retire. We could travel.
It starts before that, Brett. You spent $50,000 on what? And then it's worth $6 million, and then you don't sell. And I can just see this roller coaster of a conversation with your wife. But go ahead.
It's exactly what it was. In fact, he didn't tell her until they sat down. It was like an anniversary date. Like, in fact, for the first few years, he didn't even tell her he was investing in it, because it wasn't a lot of money for them. It was like 2,000 here, 2,000 here. It was some. They're making good income, but it was just dollar cost averaging. He was doing it, and then boom, 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 boom. And he goes, honey, I got something to tell you. And she's like, what? I've been buying this thing called Ethereum. And she's like, what's that? Well, it's kind of like Bitcoin. And what? And in 6 months, anyway, so it crashes. So fast forward, she's like, sell, 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 sell. And so, but still he's vetting us. He's vetting the structure, the strategy, the legality of this, make sure the funds are protected. They can't be hacked, the banks, all of the above, plus the investment plan for the outcome. Because guess what? It's just as important that it's legal as the next part of where and how the funds are invested. And so we went through all of this process, and I said, what would you like to do? He goes, well, first I'd like to retire from the corporate tech job. Like, I never want to work for someone ever again. I'm like, well, you can do that. And he's like, well, what's the income on this thing? Like, what can we expect? And I go, well, a lot of clients are about 8% net of fees, and they're living off 5 to 6% of it. So I said, so at $13 million, if you sell everything tomorrow, let's just say you take a 6%, pretty conservative, that's $780,000. Like, Brett, that's a lot more than what we're making per year. And you're telling me we never have to work again? I'm like, you never have to work again as long as the investment's
$780,000 per year.
$780,000 per year should be about 6% on the $13 million. Divided by 12 is about $65,000 a month, right? Did I do that right? Let me make sure I did that right. That sounds like a lot. 13 million, 6% is $780 a year. Yeah, I guess that is $65,000 a month, right? And so they're like, that's much more than we're making. We can travel, we can do the things. Like, the outcome was important for them, right? It wasn't just we're making a bunch of money. I mean, it was more money than they ever had, but it was this process of this. But he's very intellectual. B, he's very analytical, and C, he takes his time to make a decision. So he waited, and guess what happened? It went from 13 million to like 7, and within about a 3-week period. And all of our hearts sank. And like, he and his wife was upset. Again, it was like the second thing. Okay. So, but he goes, look, here's what we got now. Now, at least we got the investment done. We got the legality done, what the investments are going to be. They want to buy a place in Tahoe eventually. They want to buy a big cabin. It's like everyone from Northern California wants to, like, their dream, if you make it big, it's like some people buy their Mercedes, or they buy like, the BMW. For people in Northern California, they just want to get like a cabin on Lake Tahoe, right? So it's just known. It is known if you live in Northern California. So he goes, I want to go buy that, and like, she wanted to buy that, and the family and all of it, like, beautiful. And then it drops, and so the dream's out, and now he's thinking about going back to work and all this stuff. Anyways, fortunately, guess what Bitcoin and Ethereum did? It made another run. Okay, so within about 45 days of that date, it makes another run, and they sold the first 5 million. That was we broke the 4-minute mile. You ever see that? That guy Roger Bannister, right? Yeah. No one thought they could run the 4-minute mile. Well, nobody thought. Maybe I put these things on myself, but nobody thought we could do this with crypto, right? No one thought we could do it with Bitcoin, and we did it. We broke the 4-minute mile of the about 13 million value, because it went all the way back up. He sold about 5 million of that. And since then, it's hit even more all-time highs. And so as he liked it so much that as of last week, they just did another 2.5 million. So the unique part about the trust is you can dollar cost average out. He doesn't have to sell all 13 million at once. He sold 5 million. Boom, his 13 dropped to about, it'd be 8. Then his 8 went to probably about 10 or 11. Then he did another 2.5 million. And he's slowly, timing the exit of the coin. And a part of that was Bitcoin, and part of that was Ethereum. And now he's diversified. Now he's completely retired from the day job, right? And he never has to work again. And I'll pause there, Mitch, to see if you caught all that.
Well, his problem was part of his success. I mean, the guy didn't make a decision very fast. He's very analytical, takes his time, was sweet time. Could have worked for or against him. Lucky for him, it worked for him. I mean, it always came back stronger. Who would have guessed? But I think the bigger part of the equation is that someone that's an attorney and well-versed has spent a lot of time with you. That should encourage a lot of people to say, if it passed this guy's acid test, probably going to pass your lawyer's test too. I don't know who this guy was, but I'm just saying he sounds like he was pretty methodical and wasn't going to move until he was sure of something. So
100%, right? And he's a part of a big tech company, and he's been doing it for 20 years. So all of the security, the transfers, the legality, yeah, very, very. And his wife's an attorney. She also we had to answer tough questions, and she put us through the
ringer.
Through the ringer, yeah. So that was the first one. Okay, so that's first client. Now the second deal, this one's even like almost more inspiring, Mitch, because she's in her 20s, and I would say the certainty of conviction on something. Now she worked for Google. Okay, so again, she's in the tech industry. She's in her 20s. She bought Bitcoin at a very, very low amount. Okay, a long time ago, for about $14,000 to $20,000 is what she's in for, Mitch. And I'm going to prepare you for this. Okay, this is a real deal that actually happened. Her Bitcoin went value of about $14,000, $20,000 to $50 million. Okay,
yeah.
She never sold. In fact, she bought the first Bitcoin for a couple $1,000. The next day, she lost 8% and she sold it all. And that was like the first day she bought. And then she's like, you know what? I actually think this thing's going to do something. So she bought more the next day and she never sold. It went to $50 million. So it's basically a 49.99%, or 49 million,
increase,
number.
but over what time?
Okay. So I think that was over 7 years. Okay. I'll think of the exact dates. And so now, same thing. Legality, is it real? Is it legal? What's the track record? Am I getting in trouble with the IRS? Is it safe? But her outcome was her college roommate, they're starting a brand new startup business. Right? That's been her dream. She didn't want to work for a corporate tech company forever. So guess what? She retired from Google and she's starting the tech company. Okay. So the outcome for her was transformational, right? Which is, I'm hoping people are catching this. It's not just, hey, we're deferring millions of tax. That's really cool. But it's really, what does that enable you to do, right? Some people just sleep well at night. I mean, I say she has a steel spine because the marketplace, even in Bitcoin, has been a wild ride. And to be able to not sell when you put in $20,000 to $50,000 in something that's worth $50 million. By the way, she didn't sell all $50 million. She's like, no way. I think it's going to go. Now I think it's around $60,000 a coin. She goes, I think it's going to go to $100,000 a coin. Okay, she's pretty confident in that. She goes, I want to sell the minimum I need to start my startup, which was $5 million. So she sold 5 of the $50 million into the Deferred Sales Trust, and then we'll be doing another like $1.5 million January 1st for some tax purpose reasons for that. And that enables her to do this startup company, and it's an educational online business, which is really cool, educating the younger generation on through online, and it's a multinational, multicultural type of company. Really cool stuff. So, anyways, I'll pause there and see what you think, Mitch. Or any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, I've always said this: it's really not about the money; it's about the freedom and to become who you're supposed to be. So, for some people, it's like, yeah, I want to sit down and do nothing. For a lot of people, like if they sat down and do nothing, it's going to kill them, or they don't know how to sit down and do nothing. So it's like on to the next phase. It allows people to have a higher reason than just go to work to survive or to make money or to work for retirement. Now there's a higher reason. Go out and help some other people. There's an idea. Go help some other people move beyond their limiting beliefs and go be what they're supposed to be.
I 100% agree. I call it the success or the fulfillment formula, right? Which is identifying that one or two gifts. Some people call them superpowers. People call them strengths. I think they're God-given gifts. And they've been given us and invested in us, right? And blessed with that to be a blessing to others, which is the second part of the equation. How do you use that gift to go bless other people? And then the one in the middle that you really want to focus on, which is that time piece. And when you have that time, to be able to maximize the potential of that gift, where most people are stuck, and where I was stuck for many years, maybe you too, Mitch, was if you're stuck just trading time for dollars versus trading, having money work for you, right, to give you time, then you can focus on, it's like those people who are like, the fittest people. They spend like 6-7 hours in the gym. And maybe that's, if they're like an Arnold Schwarzenegger and they're doing that thing, that's cool, right? But they have that time to be able to do that. Somehow they've unlocked that, or their parents did, or whatever, right?
Somebody unlocked it, right? Because it takes time. You don't look like those people on accident,
Yeah, but exactly. I mean, Bill Gates, right? He's probably I think the richest man in the world, right? Biggest company in the world. But he gives back. He gives back, and he does these causes to try to solve big challenges of the world, right? Why? Well, part of it, he has unlimited time if he wants to. He never has to work anymore. He can go do those things. So that's the transformation. That's what we're trying to do. And there's really kind of two sides of the aisle here. We actually do help the government, but realize the government, a lot of them, they want to spend your money pretty quick, right? But there's a lot of them too that say, look, if we can help people invest these funds in startup companies that create more jobs and more education and spur economic growth, right? That'll create more jobs and more tax revenue in the long run. And if we can connect these two parties in a way that's fair and that's equitable for the taxpayer as well as for the government from their perspective, it's a win-win. And so that's why we love it, and that's why we're here trying to help people out.
Okay, so I want everyone to go to 1000houses.com/defer tax. Okay, defer tax, and you're going to be giving away a free ebook called "Sell Your Real Estate, Business, or Cryptocurrency Smarter." That's the name of the book. Sell Your Real Estate, Business, or Cryptocurrency Smarter, and learn about tax deferred trust. If you get over there to 1000houses.com/defer tax, it's going to take you over to the show notes, and over there you'll have a chance to hook up with Brett and his company, his websites, whatever he wants to put over there. You'll have everything you need over there, even to get a consult with him. If you want to, the problem is with these tax deferred trusts, you got to get kind of ahead of it. You got to set them up. There's some legal things, some paperwork has to be done. It doesn't happen in 5 seconds. So you have to, if you know you're headed toward a windfall, you got to get ahead of the curve. You got to set this thing up maybe a few months in advance, at least. You know what I mean? Is that right? How long do they need to set up in advance?
Yeah, you're correct. I mean, we've done deals in a week, or 14 days, or even shorter amount of times. But here's the thing: no one likes the fire drill, and no one likes to rush into a marriage, right? This is a long-term gig. Like, I'm a third-party, unrelated trustee. Part of why this thing works is you don't know me, right? I'm not your brother. I'm not your employee. Like, I'm separated from you, Mitch, right? So, or anyone else that's listening. And if you're my brother, sorry, brother, I can't do the deal for you, right? Because you're related to me, right?
It has to be an arm's length transaction.
It has to be true. And it can't be like a college roommate. It can't be the best man in your wedding. Like, if it's too close, the IRS says, no, that's a sham. You guys are just doing a sham business thing to do this thing. No, I'm in it for business purpose, and I can make a profit, right? And we charge fees. So these are all things. But that being said, there's a know, like, and trust factor that you got to build up. Now, part of that, we do YouTube channel. We do our podcast. We do these all the time to try to get people to really get to understand who we are, what we're about, our values, our clients, our partners out there, right? We're there. We're trying to make it very simple and very straightforward. But you got to get to know the banks. That's not just me. You got to know the financial advisors. We work with financial advisors across the U.S. You get to know the investments, like, this is big, right? This is big. It's a big part of what we do. So the sooner you can get with us, the better. Why? Because you separate the emotion from selling from the emotion of the exit plan. I'll say that again. You separate the emotion from selling from the emotion of the exit plan. And what I like to say is, if you can underwrite the exit plan first, get all the box checks on the emotional part of it, on the legal part of it, on the logic part of it, then go sell the asset, right? Negotiate, list it, M&A advisors, business brokers, right? Go through it.
I never thought of that. I never thought about what you just said. Selling your business, your lifelong work, or whatever, or that family farm from the family or whatever, it can be very emotional. What's really cool, like he said, if you get out ahead of that, what's going to happen someday. maybe the next 2 or 3 years, or you're not sure, but it's in your future. It's looming. Nice time to go set up the boxes when you're not emotionally tied up from this very personal proposition of separating from something that maybe you spent a lifetime building, or that it's been in your family for generation after generation.
100%. Really, yeah, 100%. It's I started at Marcus Millichap selling investment real estate properties, multifamily, group in the real estate business. And what we found, especially we learned from our mistakes and our challenges with our clients in the 1031 exchange, you're often forced to do the exit plan and the next plan with the sale, and then it's all compressed in this 45-day window upon sale, and you're racing for the 180 days. And that creates a lot of poor decisions and or just a lot of stress. And that's part of why Blockbuster 1031 exchanging is not the best plan for most people, especially when values are so sky high, right? And things could change, right, with the economy.
Yeah, let's say this like this. 1031 exchange. The problem with them is that you're selling because the prices are high. That's why you're selling. But the problem is they only give you this much time to reinvest it. And guess what? The prices are still high. So you're supposed to sell high and buy low. And you can't do that in a 1031 exchange all the time, because you're trying to compress the buy and the sell and the buy within 180 days or whatever. I mean, that's not a lot of time for a market to move. In a tax deferred trust, like Brett's talking about, you can sell and just put the money over there and just wait. Just wait till whatever you're particularly looking for comes along, or till you find the right deal, or until the economy turns on its own and it gets a lot easier to find things, So
absolutely. In fact, that's why I started the company, right? In fact, in 2006, before the crash, and I call this the Monday morning quarterback, Mitch. It's the most beautiful deal, right? He dropped back and he played it perfect. He thought something was on the horizon. He wasn't sure it was going to be a 2008 crash. But this gentleman owned about $250 million of commercial real estate in Minnesota. And he's looking at, I'm either going to pay the tax on the sale of a $20 million asset. I'm not going to do a 1031 exchange, but let me maybe try this deferred sales trust thing out. So he sold, deferred all the tax into the deferred sales trust, put it into very conservative stocks, bonds, and mutual funds that wasn't subject to the huge crash of '08. You can do that too, by the way. That's another secret that a lot of real estate people don't realize, that you can hedge and protect your funds in the stock market, right? It's not all bad. And 5 years later, guess what? The bank calls him back and says, hey, that crazy 1031 buyer who bought your property? He goes, yeah, he overpaid for it. He goes, yeah, well, we just foreclosed on it.
And you want to buy it all back for 50
And we're just curious. We thought it might be a logical thing. Do you want to buy back your old property that you sold? Well, maybe. What's the price? He said. He said, well, about 40% less than what you had sold it for. He goes, that sounds like a pretty good deal. I can make that deal. He goes, let me go talk with and get the trust funds, situated. So they formed a brand new LLC, and this is the beauty of the deferred sales trust. You can partner with the trust, and on his active real estate deal, he bought the property back at 60 cents on the dollar. Okay, all tax deferred. Okay, so he sold high and he bought low. He did what our parents taught us to do. Why? Because the deferred sales trust gave him time, right? And this is why it's the Netflix versus Blockbuster, right? You don't have to show up on a Friday night and guess if your movie's rented or have to return it within 3 days. You can show up whenever you want, turn it on. Now there's some ongoing fees. Yeah, we get paid, right? But it's never not rented out, right? You can diversify, you can get liquidity, you can do active real estate, you can start a new business, and it works for cryptocurrency. So yeah, that's
so
what we're about.
I've seen the fees. I've seen what it looks like. This is what I say to people that are a bulk of it. If you have a better plan, go ahead and pull the trigger, because you don't. That's what I say. I mean, and the man's got to get paid. And so, but it's laughable what you pay for what you can receive. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You can't do it yourself. You can't go take a course on how to set up your own tax deferred trust. It'll never happen. I mean, someone's already done it. Just pay the man for what he does and receive these huge benefits in the forms of, in some cases, like this guy, millions upon millions, for a fee. You look at, all right, this is how much I'm paying, and this is how much I'm keeping. Okay, let's do it.
Yep. And just on that point, this is also why we have our minimum of $1 million net proceeds, $1 million gain, right? So if you bought crypto for 50,000, you're selling for 150. We're not your guys, right? Because we charge our fees, and our fees eat up the savings, and it's too small. But if you bought crypto for $50,000 and it's worth $1,050,000, it's $1 million gain, $1 million net proceeds. Unless you have two properties or two assets that are worth 500 each that you can combine into one trust, which you can do that. Like let's say you had XRP at 500,000, it's a $500,000 gain, and you had like Bitcoin at 500,000 to $500,000 gain, right? Net proceeds, net gain, and that two combined into one. You can do that. So when we see that, it becomes a home run for all parties. Right. So we're happy to give you a no-cost analysis on that too, to make it make sense for you.
Cool. So we're going to take a little sidestep. I'm going to ask Brett a personal question. You don't have to answer, but what do you invest in?
Yeah. So I grew up, fortunately, to learn from my mom and dad in cash flow, value add real estate, whether it be new development or whether it be multifamily rentals. And I fell in love with it at a young age, swinging the hammer, driving in the Bobcat with my dad, seeing the project from start to finish, and then seeing the cash flow that it can produce, right? As well as then going to college and studying business, and then going to Marcus Millichap and studying multifamily investing and learning about depreciation and 1031 exchanges. And so it's always been my biased focus and opinion is multifamily value add real estate. But a couple of sisters to that, I also invest in mobile home parks and also invest into senior housing assisted living. Those are my three favorite. I've also done some industrial and some office, medical office. I was a part of a deal in Arizona where it was a 50% built after the foreclosure market in 2010 retail center that we bought really low. We were able to sell really high and finish the construction. So it's real estate first. I also have some holdings in the stock market because I worked with an amazing financial advisor who's my business partner. And so I have some holdings there as well. So that's kind of my take, Mitch. I also have a light thing in crypto. Okay. Not a lot.
You're very diversified. You like the game. But what I hear you say is you were raised on and hang your hat on cash flow real estate. So
correct. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else we need to know before maybe we wrap it up? Sometimes as the host of the show, you will know way more most of the time, way more about the topic than I do. So did we cover it well? Did we leave anything out?
Yeah, we covered it well. I would also just talk, we're not just talking to the individual investor. We're also talking to the CPA who's listening to this, the financial advisor, the M&A advisor, the business broker, the commercial real estate agent or broker, the luxury realtor. We have a coaching program. We have a lot of free education. Our goal is to empower 100,000 business professionals, the best of the best, the top 5% who are dealing in ultra high net worth clients and helping them out in the next 10 years. And we want to give all of our secrets as much as we can to you, because guess what? As soon as your client sells, we get the calls. Hey, I just sold with so-and-so. He didn't even know about this. And I just paid $3 million of tax. Can you help? And I say, I'm sorry, we can't. It's too late. Or I just removed all contingencies on the deal and we're closing in 2 days. Can you help? I'm saying, no, we can't. Now, unless you're in a 1031 exchange, we can help that, but that's a small sliver. Then we can save a failed 1031. So if you're listening to this and you want a backup plan, you should never go out, like Warren Buffett says, you find out who's been skinny dipping when the tide goes out, right? You don't want your 45-day tide to come back in, and all of a sudden you're left with nothing except for bad properties or no options. So the Deferred Sales Trust, you want to work with our strategic alliances who are 1031 exchange accommodators who will give you all options, the Delaware Statutory Trust, the 1031, and the Deferred Sales Trust. Okay, so get with us early, get educated, get empowered, and go make a big difference for your clients and their families' lives.
There you go. All right. I would like to thank everyone for stopping by to get you some Brett Swarts. Brett Swarts, there you go. Got tongue tied there. And I'd like to thank livecom.com for sponsoring this episode. Livecom, LIVECOMM.com. Check it out. It's smartphone numbers, lead generations, text messaging, works great in CRMs. I have used Livecom in my business for now the last 5 years. I average 4 days on the market on my houses for sale. I put no signs in my yards. I have very little cost to sell a house, and there's 100 different ways to use this. That's just one way that I've used it. Go to livecom.com, LIVECOMM.com, and check out the videos on the homepage and get a feel for how I am using this incredible technology, simple technology, to do incredible things and to change all my numbers, my bottom line, my days on market, what it costs to reach a customer, and how targeted I can get a customer. For 2 cents, I can hit my main customer right between the eyes, and it's a 96% open rate. So check it out, livecom.com. All right, Brett, thank you very much. We're out of here.
Thanks, Mitch. Take care.
Let's give that link one more time.
Oh, yeah.
1000houses.com/defer tax. You'll get a free ebook titled Sell Your Real Estate Business or Cryptocurrency Smarter. Do that, please. Get your hands on it. We'll see you later.